I said, here's the deal, man. You're the History Channel. Let's educate them. Let's tell them what a picker is.
In a shocking turn of events, Mike Wolfe, the charismatic co-host of the popular reality television series American Pickers, has been sentenced to life imprisonment. Known for his passion for antiques and his engaging personality, Wolfe's recent legal troubles have left fans and the public alike in disbelief. How did this beloved figure, who spent years exploring America's forgotten treasures, find himself entangled in such a serious crime? Before we continue to uncover the answer, take a few seconds to subscribe to our channel, All L Profiles. Now let's dive in. Mike Wolfe has long been renowned for the embodiment of a deep appreciation for heritage, famously traveling across America on the show American Pickers to uncover and restore forgotten antiques. However, a 46-day trial has revealed a starkly different image, portraying him as a cold, calculating figure accused of involvement in the illicit trafficking of rare artifacts from the Middle East and Europe. Beneath his amiable and passionate television persona lies a shadowy underworld. The story took a shocking turn on June 17, 2023, when police in Bloomington, Indiana, responded to a neighbor's report of a strange odor emanating from the basement of a nearby house. That house belonged to Professor Harold Clemens, a retired historian from the University of Chicago, renowned for his expertise in American Civil War artifacts. Upon entering the basement, authorities discovered Clemens deceased, lying on his back with a small object clutched in his right hand, a silver pocket watch. The faint yet discernible inscription on the watch read, RK 1887, Honor, not Glory. Initially, it appeared to be a natural death, the quiet passing of a solitary elderly man. However, the pocket watch would soon unravel an entirely different narrative. The following week, the Savannah National Museum circulated an internal memo, later leaked, confirming that the watch was part of its cherished battlefield heritage collection and had been reported missing in 2019 during a storage relocation. The museum had kept the incident under wraps to avoid tarnishing its reputation. Now, the artifact had unexpectedly reappeared, found in the possession of a deceased individual and a prominent historical artifact expert. The story quickly gained traction online. However, what truly captured widespread attention was a post by an anonymous Reddit user, GearGhost82, on the antique subreddit. The user claimed, "I'm certain I saw this exact watch in an unaired episode of American Pickers, where Mike Wolfe visited a Kentucky farm. He held the watch and said, 'It tells stories that no one else knows.'" Within 2 days, dozens of others joined the discussion, asserting they had also seen the watch either on the show or in a viral YouTube video from 2021 that was later removed. Some even alleged spotting it displayed in a glass case at Mike Wolfe's antique archaeology store in Nashville. While it remains unverified if these are indeed the same artifacts, the peculiar link between the watch, Professor Clemens' death, and its appearance in the reality show has sparked public intrigue. The pressing question now is this all a mere coincidence, or could it be the beginning of a far larger mystery? In July 2023, the FBI, in collaboration with the International Antiquities Trafficking Task Force, quietly but forcefully launched a silent investigation. This organization specializes in cases involving stolen or illegally circulated cultural artifacts. The operation, dubbed Rust Rail, symbolized the complex, unclear, and often dusty path these valuable artifacts traveled. The primary objective of the operation was to determine if Mike Wolfe, the well-known host of American Pickers, was connected to a network of illegal antiquities, trafficking at a federal and possibly international scale. One of the key pieces of evidence that advanced the investigation was a previously unseen video from the History Channel, leaked by a former employee. In the 14-minute clip, Mike is filmed negotiating the purchase of a set of military pocket watches from an unidentified individual at an old warehouse near Paducah, Kentucky. While holding an Elgin watch, a renowned American brand, Mike makes a troubling remark, "I know this once belonged to an officer. It has real historical value. I won't ask where you got it." This comment raised questions. Did Mike knowingly overlook the dubious origins of the artifact? Doubts intensified when the investigation team uncovered an indirect link between Mike Wolfe and Professor Harold Clemens, who had mysteriously died wearing a silver watch engraved with RK 1887. In 2017, Clemens briefly appeared at a televised seminar about historical artifacts, where he made an enigmatic comment, "Some items should never be sold. They carry painful memories that no amount of money can buy back." Following Clemens' death, an email retrieved from his personal computer by a forensic technician revealed a troubling revelation. "I believe I have uncovered a series of illegal transactions involving a prominent television personality," he wrote to a close friend. "I am seriously considering notifying federal authorities." The email was sent just 3 days before his untimely death. Although the police found no concrete evidence of foul play, and the medical examiner's report mentioned only a minor bruise on the back of Clemens's head, possibly from a small impact before he lost consciousness, the investigation took an unexpected turn. Mike Wolfe was placed under close scrutiny. A seemingly insignificant silver watch ultimately became the key detail that unraveled an entire empire of antiques. Investigators started reviewing all aired episodes of American Pickers and issued formal requests to the History Channel and the production company for archived records. They uncovered something peculiar. Between 2020 and 2023, over 40 items bought by Mike and his team were never shown on the program. Some transactions included questionable receipts, but lacked clear documentation about their origins or storage locations. Among these items was the infamous silver watch. Unable to contact Mike Wolfe directly, the investigation team turned to his close associates. One notable figure was Craig Salinas, the crew's driver and logistics coordinator. During a nearly 6-hour surveillance operation in southern Missouri, Salinas was observed driving a truck with the antique archaeology logo to an abandoned warehouse, an unlisted location not scheduled for filming. At that location, local police, posing as building inspectors, uncovered sealed wooden crates containing 18th and 19th century artifacts. Among them were at least 3 items reported stolen from a museum in Georgia. The investigation gained significant momentum when search warrants were secured for 2 private storage units owned by Time Vault Logistics LLC, a company in which Mike Wolfe held a majority stake through multiple financial intermediaries. In an Ohio warehouse, investigators uncovered a remarkable cache, Civil War-era pistols, worn manuscripts, and a nearly 3-foot-tall statue of an Egyptian deity, all stored in shock-proof containers. Internal documents confirmed the statue matched an artifact stolen from the Luxor Museum in 2011. Tracing financial records, the FBI found that Mike owned at least 5 subsidiaries located in tax havens like Malta and the Cayman Islands. Between 2016 and 2023, approximately $4.7 million was funneled between these companies under the pretense of Antiquities transactions. Curiously, none of these dealings were authenticated by reputable appraisers or professional auction houses. Additionally, a Swiss bank account registered under the name Mike Wolfe received a $150,000 transfer from an individual tied to the underground antiquities market in Aleppo, Syria, a region often implicated as a hub for trafficking cultural artifacts looted during wartime. The operation's structure raises significant concerns. Following each filming session, the items are not returned to Antique Archaeology headquarters, but are instead handed off to third parties under contracts executed through virtual fax services, with payments made exclusively in cash or cryptocurrency. The primary orchestrator, a man of Eastern European descent, appears in Mike's internal communications under the alias Memon, though his true identity remains unknown. In November 2023, the FBI launched an investigation into a clandestine network dealing in historical artifacts after uncovering links to Mike Wolfe, a well-known figure in reality television, at an antique shop in New Mexico. This discovery was considered a crucial connection in a series of activities suspected of trafficking and transporting illegal antiques. On the evening of December 3rd, an undercover agent engaged in a secret conversation with Mike through an unrecorded audio call. However, a portion of the call later leaked in court revealed a startling statement. "Not everything is for TV. Some things are for people who truly understand their value, not the audience." Following this enigmatic exchange, the FBI executed emergency searches at 3 locations tied to suspected illicit archaeological dealings, including a warehouse in North Nashville. During the search, agents uncovered a coded handwritten list detailing 17 rare artifacts, their black market values, and specific transaction dates. Alongside it was Mike Wolfe's personal notebook, containing a penciled note that read, "They will never understand. This is about heritage, not money." Although heritage preservation is important, the law does not permit actions that breach ethical or legal standards. Mounting evidence including undocumented artifacts, ambiguous financial records, and notes suggesting an intent to hide the truth led to Mike Wolfe being officially identified as the primary suspect in a scandal that could shake the entire U.S. reality television industry. The federal trial started on January 9, 2025 in Chicago, with tight security surrounding the courthouse. Hundreds of journalists scrambled to report on the case, while a crowd of supporters held Free Mike signs, convinced the situation was a grave misunderstanding. However, the revelations inside the courtroom left the audience in stunned silence. The 39-page indictment outlined 6 major charges: the illegal transportation of antiquities, international trafficking of cultural property, tax evasion, obstruction of justice, money laundering, and indirect involvement in concealing evidence related to a suspicious death. Previously unseen photos and videos were presented, including one showing Mike Wolfe conducting a cash deal in a Detroit garage with a Syrian man for a small box of unauthenticated Roman coins. Prosecutors argued this was not a mere hobbyist's collection, but a highly organized trafficking operation disguised as a television show. The most surprising moment came from the testimony of Frank Fritz, a former co-creator and longtime companion of American Pickers. Frank, who had departed from the show, agreed to testify, recounting how the pair initially vowed to collect only legally obtained items. However, things shifted as Mike became fixated on acquiring the rarest artifacts, even if it meant crossing legal boundaries. Frank shared an incident from 2021 when they discovered a wartime diary in Arkansas. Weeks later, he found out that copies of the diary were being sold on the black market for significantly inflated prices. The defense opted not to directly challenge the physical evidence. Instead, they attempted to depict Mike as a passionate antiquities enthusiast, ensnared by an uncontrollable system. They argued that the transactions were managed by behind-the-scenes staff and that the offshore accounts were merely legitimate savings for international collections. During the 31-day trial, Mike Wolfe remained mostly silent. When finally given the opportunity to address the jury, he stood, gazed at them solemnly, and said, "I never saw myself as a criminal. I simply wanted to preserve what others discarded. If that makes me guilty, then I am prepared to accept it." His statement quickly became a media sensation, polarizing public opinion between empathy and criticism. On the day of sentencing, the judge took just over 4 minutes to deliver the verdict, but its consequences were profound and enduring. Citing the scale of the operation, its complexity, and its influence on global culture, Mike Wolfe was handed a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Simultaneously, he was stripped of all ownership rights to the show and the American Picker brand, marking the official end of a contentious era in the history of American reality television. An elderly fan couldn't hold back his tears. For over a decade, he had passionately followed American Pickers, frequently engaging in fan forums, expressing his love for antiques, and celebrating Mike Wolfe as a cultural icon in the realm of pop archaeology. Now that pride had turned into a painful memory. Fan pages were gradually transforming into tributes. The most pressing question lingered: if Mike was the public face, who were the figures working behind the scenes of this huge antiques empire? Just 3 days after Wolfe's sentencing, the History Channel, citing undisclosed reasons, suddenly announced it was canceling American Pickers and removed all related content from its streaming platform. The popular YouTube channel, which had garnered millions of views, quietly deleted its videos. The once thriving website, known for archaeological digs, antique auctions, and history enthusiasts, was abruptly taken offline, leaving only the words temporarily suspended. A name once regarded as a cornerstone of American television disappeared so abruptly, it seemed as though it had never existed. Meanwhile, Mike's exhibition locations in Iowa and Tennessee, which he once described as sacred grounds for those who cherish history, were shut down by authorities. A hidden storage facility north of Nashville, suspected to house rare artifacts, was handed over to the Heritage Administration. A nearly month-long inspection uncovered numerous artifacts lacking proper documentation, with some suspected of being forgeries or originating from conflict zones such as Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. The most significant discovery was a marble statue believed to have come from an Ottoman royal tomb, missing since 2003. In the aftermath of this revelation, the global antiques auction market came to a sudden halt. Renowned auction houses like Sotheby's and Christie's promptly announced a comprehensive review of all transactions involving Mike Wolfe. Several high-value deals, amounting to hundreds of thousands of dollars, were cancelled, leaving private collectors alarmed at the possibility of their acquisitions being seized for investigation. Public opinion was sharply separated, with fan communities on platforms like X, Twitter, and Reddit engaging in intense debates. Many speculated that Mike might merely be a scapegoat in a vast, shadowy network where art, commerce, and politics are deeply intertwined. What added to the intrigue was a collection of 17 documents discovered in Mike's personal archive. Alongside encrypted records and unverified artifacts, the The final page featured a cryptic handwritten note, 73 VTI. Analysts and theorists quickly attempted to decode the message, presenting various interpretations. Some proposed it might represent an acronym for a covert organization involved in high-level antiquities trading, while others speculated that VTI could signify an unofficial intelligence agency linked to powerful global religious institutions. Although no concrete evidence supported these theories, the presence of this enigmatic code elevated the story from a mere scandal to an unsolvable mystery, reminiscent of a gripping detective film. Beyond the involvement of a man and a renowned TV show, another captivating element that has kept the public intrigued is Mike Wolfe's personal notebook, a document revealed by the forensic investigation team following the shocking case. Amid seemingly mundane notes, such as episode 312 Old Truck Scene Cut or Follow the Keeper of the Leopard Skin Collection, there was a tightly folded page hidden among unrelated papers. On it was a single handwritten sentence: "Not all the past should be brought to light." This brief but profound statement has led many to believe that Mike intentionally left it as a subtle message, a quiet declaration, amidst the chaos of the scandal. At Teruat Federal Prison, where Mike Wolfe is serving his sentence, media access is strictly prohibited. A former associate disclosed that Mike had entirely isolated himself from the outside world. He refrained from speaking, ate alone, and made no specific demands, as though he had resigned himself to his circumstances. During a private hearing in March 2025, an FBI representative stated that the investigation was ongoing, with several individuals still being monitored. One of the individuals informally subpoenaed was a former programming director at the History Channel, responsible for reviewing unaired episodes. It's unclear what scenes were removed, altered, or deliberately concealed. To grasp how events escalated to this point, we must return to the beginning of Mike Wolfe's story. Born in 1964 in Joliet, Illinois, Mike grew up in a working-class household, raised by a single mother alongside two siblings. While his peers were captivated by baseball cards, young Mike was drawn to discarded items like broken radios, old bicycles, and anything mechanical he found in the schoolyard dump. His favorite saying was, "If everyone thinks it's worthless, it's even better to keep it." In 2010, American Pickers premiered, showcasing Mike Wolfe, a man in his 40s who still carried a youthful spark whenever he encountered an antique. Alongside Frank Fritz, he traveled across the United States, uncovering treasures from the past. Mike was admired for his extensive knowledge, respect for sellers, and sincere enthusiasm for history. However, over time, that enthusiasm spiraled out of control. A former associate claimed Mike was not only collecting artifacts but also memories and the power to control them. The pressure to stay on top led Mike to cross dangerous boundaries: evidence warehouses, engaging with the black market, and even reaching out to sources in active war zones. His focus shifted from salvaging discarded items to acquiring objects people were too afraid to keep. In Mike's mind, perhaps he believed he was rescuing history from being forgotten. But the law does not operate on intentions, and Mike Wolfe's journey from a beloved TV personality to a tragic downfall serves as a cautionary tale about the cost of crossing ethical lines. Now known as inmate 42,719 D54, Mike Wolfe was once a celebrated figure synonymous with American culture and heritage. Today, his name has been wiped from all public platforms. Yet the lingering question remains: was Mike Wolfe a man who exploited history for his own benefit? Or was he a lone crusader, willing to risk everything to preserve fragments of the past? From a man who roamed the country in search of historical treasures to a national television star and ultimately a convicted criminal, Mike's story is a stark reminder of the delicate balance between passion and morality, and how the truth, no matter how deeply buried, will always come to light. And that concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're eager for more captivating stories, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, all profiles, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any updates. We'll be back soon. Until then, stay awesome.